was raised in a world where the only thing I knew was somebody telling me when I was young, Pericles, you're going to always have debt, so don't worry about that. And I thought, okay, I'm going to always have debt, so it's okay. And the more debt I had, I'm like, well, he said it was okay. That's just the way it is. And so I lived in this broken relationship with money where, okay, it's okay to have debt. And then in my 20s, late 20s, realized, whoa, this is out of control.
So what would you say to somebody that is hard for them to discipline themselves to, get better with their money?
I think the first and most important thing is to get present to what is it you truly want in your life. And I think for some people, you're going to be like, I just like it the way it is. And if that's where you are, great. This is not the conversation for you, and I got no judgment about that. That's totally fine. This isn't for everyone. There are a lot of people that will hear this and be like, yeah, I'm not doing this. And that's great, right? That's fine. But if you're truly in a place where, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm done with whatever it is I've been doing, and I really want to start creating and building wealth, then look to see what is that you truly want. If we say to ourselves, I want money to flow to me easily and abundantly every single day, and then we see a penny on the ground and say, yeah, but I don't want that, you've just shifted from I want money to flow to me easily and abundantly to I don't. So it is all about, I'm declaring right now that I have financial freedom, that I have a sense of enough. Now, does that mean I never want to make more money? No, it doesn't mean that at all. It just means I'm living in a declared state of financial freedom because I say so. I've gotten things into a place of whatever that place is where I can now declare I am in a state of financial freedom. Now, I continue to do and create the games that I like to play on a financial level. Like, this is what I'm playing for next. This is what I'm going for next. Does not mean that we stop because we live in a world where we're either contracting or expanding.
Hey there. Look, my hope is that the ThriveWell Journey meets you exactly where you are and helps you rise into who you're here to be. It's 2025, and this is your year to thrive despite what the world is throwing at us. And our desire is that our conversations inspire you, bring clarity, and give you a reason to breathe deeper. So our ask is that you take a moment to subscribe, download the episode, and follow us on your favorite RSS platform. Your support doesn't just help the show grow, it helps build a space that's rooted in your evolution. And that means everything to me and the TTJ team. Now, if you're ready to go beyond the episodes, come join our private ThriveWell Journey discussion group on Facebook. We're walking through a 22-week series built to anchor each week in intention, purpose, and meaningful connection. I do so look forward to hearing your voice and can't wait to see you in the group. But for right now, let's get into it.
Bullied and dunked on. Beat up, bullied and dunked on. Bullied and dunked on. Yeah. Let's get it.
What if your relationship with money is really a reflection of your relationship with yourself? What if the key to true wealth isn't found in your hustle, but in your healing? So today I'm sitting down with Pericles Rellas, the transformational mind behind Reset Your Financial Thermostat, to explore how shifting your money mindset can unlock lasting prosperity, purpose, and peace. So whether you're a new entrepreneur or building your next big thing, this conversation could be the breakthrough that you'll be waiting for. So let's get right into it. And once again, Pericles, how you doing?
Michael, I'm doing great. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. I'm excited to have you on. My producer, she was in love with, all the information that she's got from you. And so with that being said, what's like on your mind today? Like, what's like the forefront of your mind?
Yeah, it's so interesting you should say that because I just posted something from this morning. I was talking to a client who is hyper stressed out about kind of everything that's going on right now. There's just a little bit of chaos happening. And regardless of where you fall on the political spectrum, it's not a political conversation. It's about people being stressed.
Yeah.
And the first thing I tell people when they start to deal with stress is, okay, You need to disengage from that which is causing you stress. And what we find out is people are reading the news every morning. They're reading the markets every morning. They're reading the social media posts, and then they're reposting and they're ranting and you can feel the energy just start to take them over. And the first thing that I recommend to them is you got to disengage. You got to stop watching all of those social media posts. You've got to stop reading all the news. None of it's going to change. And you getting stressed out and freaked out isn't going to make any difference. It's only going to impact you on a day-to-day basis. And it's going to start to impede your ability to thrive in this world, to create the kind of success that you want. So that's really what's on my mind this morning.
I second that. I fell victim to that because, owning a business and you're seeing how things go, and then you're looking at what's going on in the media. I find myself I think they call it doom scrolling or whatever, and then looking at certain things. But I can be aware of what's happening, but also had to disengage from really falling victim to the stories that I keep hearing, because there may be truth to it, but it's not maybe necessarily the truth to what can happen in your world. So I had to kind of disengage with that. So yeah.
And we just have to remember too that the media is there to get ratings. And so that's their purpose. They're going to do what they need to do to bring in more people. And the same thing for social media. They want that clickbait. They want something that's shocking that pulls people in. And while that's great, we need to make sure we're taking care of ourselves. Focus on what you can change. Focus on what you can make a difference in. Focus on the things that you love, the people that you love, the work that you love. Get back to work. Do what you do what you love, and the rest will get sorted out. It'll all get sorted out. Always does.
Well said. Yeah, it always does, right? And I believe that this is the kind of mindset that you have when we talk about money. And this is how we're going to get deep into it. I'm sure that, people who are watching or listening, they have lots of questions about, money mindset and maybe a shift that they may need. I know I do have some questions about that, but you talk about your relationship with money. And you stated that our relationship with money is a mirror of our relationship with ourselves and the world around us. Can you, talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, it's something that's evolved over the years that I've been doing this, but I've really started to see it more clearly that when we have doubts about ourselves, or when we have issues with ourselves, with who we are, that's reflected in our relationship with money. Well, I have doubts about whether I'm going to make enough money. I have doubts about whether it's enough money. I have doubts about whether it's whatever it is we're questioning. Well, I look and notice, well, you're questioning yourself. And so, of course, you're going to be questioning whether or not you have enough money. If you don't have enough joy in your life, well, then that's going to reflect on, I need more money for joy. I need more money for joy. I need more money for joy. And you're down this rabbit hole or on this hamster wheel of trying to get joy in your life by bringing more money into your life. Well, money's not going to bring you joy. Money might bring you things that will have you experience something in a joyful way. But the source of your joy, the source of your happiness, the source of your fulfillment all come from within. So if we're looking for money to supply that to or provide that for us, it's not going to work. And that's why a lot of people end up in a broken relationship with money, because they say, if I just get to $100,000, everything will be fine. If I just get to $200,000, everything will be fine. And they keep hitting these milestones, but it's never fine. And so when we stop and we look and we say, okay, I got to stop looking at money and start looking at myself. And I realize, wow, I could actually get joy in my life, or I could get this sense of fulfillment, satisfaction, love in my life right now. Whether the money ever comes or not, I've got in my life that sense of security, that sense of joy and happiness. Then that opens it up for money to actually flow to us, rather than us trying to fight our way to get enough money to have that thing in our life.
Why do you think people get it so backwards?
I think it's the world we live in. We live in a social media world. We live in a world where we see people pretending, and this is not everyone, but there are a lot of people pretending to live a quote unquote jet set life. And it looks like they're happy, and it looks like, oh, they've got these amazing lives and lifestyles and all of this. but we don't really see what's behind the curtain. And so we want to emulate that. And we think, wow, if I look like I have a lot of wealth, then everybody's going to think I'm really cool and they're going to think I'm wealthy and I'm going to be happy. Well, in fact, the exact opposite is what's going on. Most people, not all, there are some content creators out there who are actually experiencing that kind of wealth. They're experiencing that kind of success. But a lot of them are actually going into debt, trying to create the illusion that they've got wealth. And so we, as people who are consuming this, we take that on and we think, okay, all I need to do is buy the expensive clothes, but I can't afford it, but I'll put it on a credit card and I'll just pay the minimum payment. And then I keep building debt to build this sense of people thinking I have wealth, but I don't. It's the reverse. And then we end up in this bankrupt situation where we've got the weight of this debt on our shoulders and nothing to show for it, but a bunch of clothes that nobody really cares about. And so I think in that relationship to social media and the world that we live in, that's why we've gotten it backwards. We would rather go into debt to look like we have wealth than actually have the wealth and give up caring about what anybody else thinks about us.
Yes. First of all, yes. One thing, there was a lot of things happening right in my mind that when you ended. One is this is social media content, what we're doing here. One of the things that I wanted to make sure as we build this is that we come across authentic. We have authentic conversation. Just the authenticity was there. And that when we have these conversations, that people can get something from the conversations and not something that where they can scroll to and be like, oh, that person has a Corvette or, this and that, but it's not really theirs. It's rented. You know what I mean? Things like that.
Right.
And really bring forth true content that will support people in, in their life. And when you talk about people listening, looking at the social media content and then, getting this false narrative, really, does that, and it's consuming that. Does that, and then they're going out trying to or emulate these people. Do you think that speaks to their mindset? And if it does, how can they change or shift that mindset of trying to be like someone else in their financial?
I think, Michael, it speaks to our lack of bringing awareness to what our relationship to money is. Most people, if you're like me, when I was raised, we never talked about money. My parents never talked about money. My parents were first generation, they were children of immigrants. So my grandparents were immigrants and they just never spoke about money. And so I was raised in a world where you didn't talk about it. You didn't ask about it. You certainly never questioned it. And so I then was raised in a world where the only thing I knew was somebody telling me when I was young, Pericles, you're going to always have debt, so don't worry about that. And I thought, okay, I'm going to always have debt, so it's okay. And the more debt I had, I'm like, well, he said it was okay. That's just the way it is. And so I lived in this broken relationship with money where, okay, it's okay to have debt. And then in my 20s, late 20s, realized, whoa, this is out of control. Something's got to give here. Something's got to shift. And then the other part of it was my mom saying when I was very young, to a show we were watching called Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous.
Oh, I know that show.
You remember that show? Yeah. It's like we're dating ourselves here. But it was like, this amazing show that we used to, it was one of the original almost reality shows, but it was about this family, very wealthy, very successful, and they were completely broken. Just a disaster of a family. And my mom at the end of the show said, very nonchalantly, with no agenda, I never want to have that much money. You'll lose your whole family. In that instant, that 6-year-old boy said, I never want to have that much money. I'm going to lose my whole family. Now, that undistinguished mindset created the trajectory of my financial future. Two aspects to it. One is debt's okay. And two is you never want to have that much money because you'll lose your whole family. And so one became my glass ceiling for how much money I could make and keep. And the other one became the burden that I kept dragging along with me in the form of debt. And when we stop, and for those of you who are listening to this and you're thinking to yourself, what do I do next? Just bring awareness to what is your relationship with money. And if the first thing you say is, well, I never thought about it before, great. That's the first step. Now start to think about it. What do you think about when you start to talk about money? What are the thoughts And what are the feelings and emotions that come up for you around money when you start to think about it or talk about it? Is it stress? Is it anxiety? Is it dread? Is it, I don't want to talk about this? Is it something else? Because the moment we bring it from that kind of survival part of our brain into the frontal cortex where we're thinking about it, we're bringing that critical thinking, suddenly we start to look at it newly. And then we've got all sorts of brain science things that start to occur where we create new neural pathways. For those who are familiar with Dr. Joe Dispenza or those who are familiar with Abraham Hicks, we start to create a new vibrational frequency. And those shifts are where we now start to create our world, rather than living in a world that's predetermined based on decisions we made when we were 6 years old or 5 years old or 10 years old. And that's the first step, is bringing that awareness and start having the critical thinking conversations around it, and then see what opens up from there.
The awareness. Okay. So I like you talked about when your brother, I think you said your mother said that you'll always be broke. Is that what she said?
Somebody, I don't know, remember who it was, but somebody close to my family said, Pericles, you're going to always have debt. Don't worry about it.
You're always going to have debt.
Right.
So in that vein, you took that on, and that's how you lived.
Yeah.
And basically, did you always have debt? And then when you shifted, how did your relationship with money evolve over the 25 years or so that you've been doing this?
Yeah. So I remember the first time I got my first credit card, and I thought, oh, I've arrived. I got my first card. This is awesome. And I think it had like a $1,500, credit line or something like that, or credit limit. And it was so exciting. And I remember the first thing I did was go out with one of my friends, and I paid for lunch, because it was like so cool to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened was it started to snowball, and it started to take over. So you're going out with friends and you want to impress everyone. You think, you know what? I'm going to pay for everybody's dinner tonight. Everybody's like, oh, wow, Pericles, thank you so much. And it's this false sense of love and security. Like, people like me because I'm paying for things. And then we start to associate that to, okay, if I pay, everybody's going to like me. They're going to be my friends. I'm going to be the cool guy. And that's the path that I fell into. And so I wanted to be the sport. I wanted to be the successful one. I wanted people to think that. And the way for me to get that across to them was to be paying for things.
Mm-hmm.
And then it became buying things that I couldn't afford, whether it was clothes or jewelry or car, whatever it was. It was always something that was about what other people would think of me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I got it backwards. And it was very early on. And then when I got to be around 30, there was just thousands of dollars worth of credit card debt. And this was a while ago. So, having $15,000, $20,000 of credit card debt's huge.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a burden. And it becomes, I can make the minimum payment. I can make the minimum payment. I can make the minimum payment. Now my card's gotten declined. Now I need to get another card so that I can continue to spend. And then there's this moment when I said, okay, no more. And it was around the time that I started this education. I started creating this work myself. And I started to really look at what's my relationship to myself and to money. So my relationship to myself was, I'm only somebody of value when other people think I am.
Mm-hmm.
When other people are thinking I'm cool, thinking I'm the sport, thinking I'm the wealthy guy. Well, that relationship is bankrupt. That's not going to work. That's not going to sustain itself. And when I stopped that and I started to see, okay, I'm actually my own person.
Mm-hmm.
I can determine the future. I can determine who I am and how my life goes, freed up from what anybody else thinks of me. And in that moment, I stopped worrying about what other people thought of me. And I started focusing on, what is it I want in my life? Well, I want prosperity. I want wealth. I want a sense of fulfillment in my own life, a sense of enough. And that's what my focus became. So I wouldn't go out to dinner with people unless I had the money set aside and I was paying cash and I wasn't paying for anybody else anymore. And I was making sure that I was paying down that debt. And then I got the debt disappeared. And then it all became about creating wealth. And in the beginning, and I want to make this clear because I've worked with people who said, Pericles, my only focus right now, paying off debt, paying off debt, paying off debt. And I said, great, you need to shift your focus because we get what we focus on.
Yeah.
So if your sole focus is paying off debt, what you're going to continue to create is more debt. So you have the thing to focus on that you've created to focus on. It sounds like kind of a catch-22, but it's so easy to fall into that trap. Focus on building wealth. The debt will disappear as you focus on building wealth. Same thing for, there are a lot of great content creators out there, but they say, create an emergency fund. No, do not create an emergency fund. Because when you create an emergency fund, what are you setting yourself up for?
An emergency.
Emergencies, yeah. That's the only reason for an emergency fund to exist, is to have emergencies. So you will naturally have emergencies. I had somebody else that said there's a reserve fund was another word. Well, a reserve fund is reserved for when you need a reserve fund. Create a wealth fund. Create a prosperity fund. Because when you're creating that, anything that's unexpected that might show up, I've got it covered.
Yeah.
But start there. So creating and building wealth was what I really started to focus on. And then it didn't make any difference to me what people thought about me, what people said about me, because I knew what I'm creating is my future the way I want it to be created. And so in that moment is when I shifted and then started building this and creating this education with my clients and then delivering it to my clients and watching the results kind of go off the charts. And then they started sharing it with friends and family and coworkers or people that they knew who were entrepreneurs. And then it kind of took off. And for the last 25 years, that's been my focus as a money mindset expert.
Money mindset. Can you can you share an example of a story of one of your clients that shifted, just so people can relate to something?
Yeah, this is, I think I have several. Let me think which one. I'm going to share this one. I had a client that I worked with who was an attorney, and she's since passed. But she was one of the top appellate attorneys in her state. So this was somebody who had created briefs that went to the Supreme Court. And this is so cool, right? So just this hugely successful appellate attorney. When I first started working with her, I said, okay, so let's look at your financial situation. Let's just look at, how much you bringing in, how much does it cost you every month? I don't know any of that. So, okay, what are your expenses? I don't know. Okay, well, let's get all your bills out. Well, I need to go to my car. Why do you need to go to your car? She would pull up to her house every day, open up the mailbox from her car, pull everything out. She'd go through all the bills, throw them in the back seat, and then keep everything else and go up to her house, and she'd leave her bills in the back seat. So she had overdue notices and she had bank charges and overdraft. It was just a mess. And this is someone who's so successful in her career. So what we had to do was then start shifting her relationship to the mailbox and the mail and looking at the bills and understanding where she was flowing her money to and being empowered around understanding what was so about her financial situation. And what so is, I bring in this amount and I'm spending this amount. And we're suddenly like, okay, we need to close that gap. That's the first stage, closing the gap so we can get you where you're at least at a break-even point at the end of every month. Then once we got there, we were able to now create this kind of a gap. And the difference between here and here is what you're flowing into I like to call it reservoir on the side that we get to keep, where it's my savings for my future, my retirement, my next car, my next vacation. I'm actually putting money away for all of those things so that when my next vacation comes up, all I have to do is look at my vacation fund and say, well, I've got $3,000 in there. My next vacation is going to cost me $3,000, no more.
Here on the ThriveWell Journey, we talk a lot about not just surviving, but thriving. And a big part of that for me has been understanding my health on a deeper level. That's why I partnered with Live Good and brought it under my company, Orion's Health. Not just because I believe in the products, but because I've seen what they can do firsthand. I've walked through some hard health chapters in my life, including cancer and a kidney transplant. And I know what it feels like when your body's working against you. That's why we're offering 2 free tools that help me and can help you too. First, go to myfreehealthreport.com/Orion's Health. Take our quick health questionnaire and get a personalized report created by Dr. Ryan Goodkin, Live Good's Director of Product Development. It's clear, actionable, and totally free. Second, visit myfreedetox.com and get a free chlorophyll and zeolite detox bottle with your first product order. It's a gentle, natural way to clear out toxins and start fresh something I personally use and stand behind. This isn't just a sponsorship, it's part of my mission through Orion's Health to help people thrive in body, mind, and spirit. Of course, always consult your physician before starting any new supplement or health regimen. Your body is unique, and your healthcare provider should always be part of the conversation. The links are in the show notes. Now tap in and take your next step toward thriving.
And then I go on vacation. I put it on a credit card that gets points. When I come back, I pay that off. And with those points, I've actually gotten a bonus for my next trip. And so she made that shift and went from this person that was just chaotic and no idea what she was spending hundreds of dollars every month in overdraft fees and bank fees and charges, to someone who actually was saving and actually building a sense of wealth in her life. And it's that kind of thing that just lights me up. I get so excited when those kinds of things happen.
Yeah, especially when you get to help people like that and seeing the shift in their lives. So so a while ago I learned to keep envelopes. I don't know where I learned it from. Keep envelopes, put whatever vacation fund or whatever, put that money aside in the envelopes. I just want to kind of maybe a curveball, I don't know. But what if the person that we're trying to reach has very, let's say, little money? Where do they start from?
Yeah, the very first step for anyone, and I want to be really clear about this because I know that there are people out there that are dealing with some extraordinary circumstances, and they're very, very challenging. And I do not take that lightly, and I am not making light of that at all. The majority of people who are dealing with a financial challenge, the majority of them fall into the category of they just don't even know what's going on. And there's no sense of, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. And that's really the people in this conversation that I'm speaking to who are starting there. Then there are your entrepreneurs, people who make a lot of money. They just know where their money goes. There's another conversation for you, right? There's we've got to reset that, right? But for people who are in that middle ground and they're just kind of like, I don't know what's going on. That's the first thing you have to do is figure out what's going on. It's the exercise I give to all of my clients when I first start working with them. All right, for the next 2 months, all you're going to do is track your spending. I want to know every penny that you spend. We're going to track it on a sheet. How much are you spending on groceries? How much are you spending on household goods? How much is your rent or your mortgage? How much is your insurance for your home, for your car, for your health? How much are there? All these things. How much are your streaming services? How much everything? So we're going to look at every credit card. We're going to look at every debit card. Cash. I want to know exactly where. Do you know how many times people go to the store, tap, debit, and Starbucks, and it's here and it's there, and they're spending hundreds of dollars every single month, and it's just like disappears. So we get that to what so, and then we look at, well, what's your income? I can't tell you how many people don't even know how much they make every month. They have no clue. I think it's about they don't know, right? So we get those two numbers, and then we compare them. And most people start to freak out. They're like, oh my God, I spend more money than I make every single month. Yep. And that's why your debt keeps going up. That's why your credit cards keep going up, because they close the gap using credit cards. So that's when now we know what's going on. Oh, the car's got a flat tire. Now we know what the problem is.
Right.
Now we can create the solution. So now we start to look at, well, here are all the places you're spending money. Now you get to choose. Where do you actually want to spend your money? And they start looking at like, well, I don't need that anymore. And I don't need this anymore. And I don't need this. And they start to trim the fat. And they start to get responsible about where they're spending their money. Now we've gotten that to where we're here. Then they start to look at, okay, well, how can I make more money? How can I start to move from just that break even to actually making more than I earn, making more than I spend every month? Whoa, that's a whole nother world. We move from being what I call behind the flow to being in the flow, which is at the top of the wave, to being ahead of the flow, where you're now making more every month than you're spending. And that momentum starts to push us. So the first place is you got to figure out what's so. Get to the bottom line, and then you can create your strategies.
It's so great that you said that, because as soon as you were talking about the story, I was like, what's so, right? So basically from the beginning of the conversation for me, it was like awareness,
Right.
figuring out the what so in your situation, like the actualities of your
Yes.
finances. And then what also came to me is discipline.
Yeah.
There's probably a discipline that when it comes to finances is really tough for people. Or they create the story of it being tough. I don't know.
Right.
What would you say around trying to really discipline yourself in the activities of,
Yeah.
saving your money and knowing where to look at your money? And because I know I had to figure it out, like, where's my money going, like what's going on.
Mm.
And once I realized that, thank you to Rocket Mortgage and whatever the
Right.
apps are, I kind of figured things out and I cut things off, and then a different flow came with my
Right.
finances. So
Right.
what would you say to somebody that is really, it's hard for them to discipline themselves to get better with their money?
I think the first and most important thing is to get present to what is it you truly want in your life.
Mm,
And I think for some people, you're going to be like, I just like it the way it is. And if
mm,
that's where you are, great. This is not the conversation for you. And I got no judgment about that. That's totally
right,
fine. This isn't for everyone. There are a
right.
lot of people that will hear this and be like, yeah, I'm not doing that. And that's great, right? That's fine. But if you're truly in a place where, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm done with whatever it is I've been doing, and I really want to start creating and building wealth, then look to see what is that you truly want.
Hmm.
I want to be able to buy my first house, or I want to be able to buy a car and pay cash. I just want to be out of debt.
Hmm.
Whatever that may look like for you, you want to get really clear about what it is you want and let that source you. Because when we're clear about what we want and that we truly want it, then the actions start to line up with that.
I
It
agree.
becomes much, much easier. And
Yeah.
for a lot of people, when you get that clarity about what you want, then it's a matter of, are you willing to do the work to see what you need to do in order to get where you want to be?
Yeah.
So in other words, I want to get in shape. Great. Are you willing to look in the mirror and see what's so?
Hmm.
Most people, they don't want to look at it. They're like, I don't want to know what's going on in my finances. I don't want to look at myself naked. It's ugly, right? This whole conversation.
Yeah.
But until we're willing to confront it, we're not going to be able to deal with the what's so. Then when we get to the what's so about it, then we start to see, okay, juxtaposing where I am with where I want to be.
Hmm.
This is where I want to be. And this is all that I'm committed to, is where I want to be. Great.
Yeah.
Now, what's the first step? Well, the first step is I got to stop spending more than I make, or I got to start bringing in more money and being responsible for managing that flow, right? Those actions will come with that true commitment to getting to where you want to be. So it's that future that you want to create and getting really clear about it. And then those actions will line up. And then filling the gap with, I don't know how to do this, finding somebody who can help you with that.
Who can help you?
Finding somebody you trust, finding somebody that you know has a track record that can then help you with that.
Yes. All right. So I got my 4 steps: awareness, what's so, discipline, and a commitment.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is all great. And for all the knowledge that you have, you turn it into a program, which is your financial thermostat program. You created that, and what inspired you to create that? I mean, you probably said a little bit about it already, but what exactly inspired you to create that program?
Yeah, it was by default really that it happened. I was working as a business coach and I wanted my clients to make more money. I wanted them to be successful, and that's what I started doing with my clients. And some of them were business owners, others were like the attorney. They wanted to be more successful. And what I found in the very early stages was they started making more money, which was so awesome. I was excited, right? It was the thing I wanted for them. And yet every single month, at the end of the month, they were still in the same situation they were before they started working with me. Meaning, if they were somebody that was just treading water at the end of every month, they were still just treading water. I'm like, wait, you're making a lot more money. Some people were making twice as much. How is it possible that you're still just treading water? Or if they were behind every month, they were still just behind. Or there were a couple that were just like, I'm making more money, I'm keeping more money, but I'm still stressed. I'm still worried. I still have anxiety. this can't be happening. This just doesn't make
Right.
sense. And I
Yeah.
realized that there was a theme going on here. And I stepped back and I looked at him and said, okay, there's something bigger going on here than just making more money. Because making more money, I thought, was going to solve it all. And that's when I started to explore it, and I started to study it, and I started to research it. And I started to really delve into this, like, what is happening here? And I shared with my clients about it. I said, okay, guys, something's going on here, and I'm going to start looking at it. I'm going to figure this out. And over the next 2 years, I really distinguished two things. One is that we all have this thing called a financial thermostat. It's our money mindset, but I like the word thermostat because we can all relate to a thermostat. We know what it is. And so that thermostat, that financial thermostat, regulates black and white. It is just like a thermostat in our home. How much money we can earn, how much money we can keep, and our thoughts, feelings, and emotions around money. It is that simple. That's all it does, is it regulates those three things. And then the second thing were the 4 keys to resetting our financial thermostat so that we could actually earn more, we could keep more, and we can have a whole different experience around money. And so I started implementing those distinctions with my clients. And that's when it just, the lid just got blown off, and they started making more, keeping more, having this amazing experience around money, and their life and their lifestyles changed. And that's when I really started focusing on that. Then I built the program out, and then I started delivering it. And then it was kind of like just one thing after another. It just organically took off from there.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Now, how do we identify our current financial thermostat?
This is probably the easiest thing to do. Just stop and look at how it is right now. If you were to look at how much am I able to earn? And do I keep bumping up against the ceiling, or am I able to continue to earn more and more and more? Great. Your financial thermostat for how much money you can make is probably set pretty high. Then look at, well, how much am I able to keep? Because I know a lot of people I've worked with, they can make tons of money, but they can't keep it. It just disappears at the end of every month. They're like, I don't know where my money went. So they may have a financial thermostat setting where they can make a lot of money, but they just can't keep it. And then look at, what are your emotional states around money? When you think about money, when you talk about money, when you engage or interact with money, what are your thoughts, feelings, and emotions around it? If you're excited, great. That's your financial thermostat around money. In terms of emotions, thought, feelings, emotions. Are you stressed? Are you worried? Do you shut down? Some people just shut down. That's your emotional financial thermostat setting. So look at those 3 things, and that will tell you exactly what your setting is. And I bet I know what your next question is going to be.
Well, I'm gonna, because you talked about it, and just personally, I know that I had to teach myself about finances and money and wealth and all that kind of stuff, like because I had kind of a dichotomy between my mom's side and my dad's side, right? So I saw where, one parent worked and struggled. Then I saw one parent who owned business, worked, and they were fine, and so I think my mentality was like kind of caught in the middle. I would earn, and then I was like, where's my money?
Right.
Then I get it back, and then find, where's my money again? So I had to teach myself. And so I think a lot of beliefs were probably negative. So can someone reset their financial thermostat even with the negative beliefs? Was that the second question you think I was going to
Yeah, that was it. How do we reset our financial thermostat? Exactly right. You just went about it in a really cool way, because it tied something together, which I love. So the first thing to resetting our financial thermostat that I want people to understand is that money is a universal band of energy. And as a band of energy, it flows like energy, like water or electricity or air. Now, it's a currency, and so it flows like a current, but it flows in a unique way. It flows in a circle. So if this is us, this is money, it flows in a circle. To us, through us, and away from us, then back around to us, through us, and away from us. And then I talked about it earlier, that reservoir on the side that we get to keep. Now, because money flows in a circle, blocks anywhere in that flow are blocks everywhere in that flow. So we can have blocks in the flow of money coming to us, then blocks in the flow of money going away from us, and we can have blocks in the flow going to that reservoir on the side that we get to keep. Those blocks are those negative conversations around money that we have. So for me, it was, if you make too much money, you're going to lose your whole family. Or debt is okay. You're going to always have debt, so don't worry about it. Those are actually blocks in the flow. And so when I was able to notice the block and then clear the block out, suddenly that flow of money increased. And it's the same thing for our emotional states. We've got negative emotions associated with the flow of money. Money's the root of all evil is a great one.
Yeah.
You know, if I have too much money, I'm going to go to hell, or I'm going to be a bad person, or whatever that looks like. All of those are just negative money mindsets. Those are all blocks in the flow of money. When we clear them out, we're then resetting our financial thermostat so we can earn more, we can keep more, and we can have a better relationship with money and better experience around money.
Yeah. So do you think, we're talking about negative beliefs, that's the subconscious, right? It plays in the subconscious. And are these patterns that are kind of like financial sabotage?
Yeah. I've watched entrepreneurs that I was working with. One of them had a $250,000 month. Huge month. And then could not deal with it. Their financial thermostat was not set for it. Sabotaged it, went out of business. That's how powerful these blocks in the flow of money are. Our financial thermostat is just like a thermostat in a room. So if your room temperature is set at 72 and it's freezing outside and the window's open and that cold air comes in and the room comes down to like 60, it's going to kick on the heat. And it's going to bring that temperature right back. It's the same thing for money. If your financial thermostat is set for a certain amount of money and income, I don't care how much money you make. This is why lotto winners go broke within the first 5 years, 80% of them. They bring all this money in and we think, I've got it made. Nope. Their financial thermostat kicks on and it just starts disappearing money and disappearing money and disappearing money. And suddenly they're upside down and they go bankrupt. That's a function of that financial thermostat. So these blocks in the flow will literally come in and have you disappear money to bring it down to where you're set. And the same thing for emotions. I've worked with people who are billionaires on the Forbes list, billionaires, and they're miserable. Their emotional state is such that they never enjoy anything. With all this money, you'd think, oh my gosh, you should have the most amazing life in the world. Not so. That's that financial thermostat around their emotions being in a place where they're always unhappy. Now, I've worked with people in the opposite where they don't have much money at all, and yet they're completely happy. They're completely fulfilled in their lives.
Yeah.
So it's not the money, it's the relationship. It's that financial thermostat setting that's most important.
So how can someone tell the difference between a money problem and a money pattern?
Well, you look and see, is the pattern a problem? So if the pattern you have around money is something that's great, is it good for you? Well, I've got this pattern around money. Every time I think about it, I make it. Okay. Does that make you happy? Yes. Great. I've got this pattern around money. Every time I try to make it, I lose it. Are you happy with that? No. Then you can associate, no, this is not something I want in my life. This is a block in the flow and I want to clear it. And for most people, it's pretty easy if you say, I want to make a lot of money. What's the first thing that comes to your head? That little voice that whispered, nah, you're too stupid.
Yeah.
Nah, you're not worth it.
Voice.
Nah, you won't ever do that. Not for you.
You'll fail again.
Exactly. You'll fail again. Exactly. That is a block in the flow. It's that simple. For some people, it's easier to hear. For other people, we just need to stop and listen for a second. We're not used to listening to that voice, but it runs the show. This is why affirmations don't work. This is why people who are genuinely trying to manifest, they've read all the books. They've listened to all the Abraham Hicks. They've done Dr. Joe Dispenza. They cannot manifest for the life of them. And it's because they're manifesting on top of poisoned soil. That block in the flow. So you say, okay, I'm going to make $1 million. I'm going to make $1 million. Not for you. Not going to happen. That negative mindset. Now, can I give you the 4 steps to clearing those negative blocks in the flow?
I'm going to write them down
too. number one is you have to notice it and own it. Number one, okay, let's use money's the root of all evil because this is a great one. I think a lot of people will have this. So I want to make $1 million. No, money's the root of all evil. Oh, wow. I've had that conversation for decades. I can own that. That's it. It's just you're going to own it, that I've had that conversation. You don't want to give it any credence. You don't want to give it any power. You don't want to give it any agreement. Just, okay, I've got that conversation. There it is. Number one. Step two, let it go. You have to actually say, I let this conversation go. I release it into the care of the universe or into the care of God, into the care of the trees, the forest, the ocean, whatever. It's something outside of you. You have to say it out loud. You cannot do this in your head. I let this conversation go and I release it into the care of the universe. It is no longer mine. It is no longer welcome in my world. It no longer has dominion over me. However you want to say it, you keep saying it until you get a sense of, wow, I actually felt that conversation kind of move away from me a little bit. It doesn't have to be complete, but just a little bit. Now, this is going to be hard for a lot of people because it's become part of our identity. It's become part of who we are. We're familiar with it. We're actually addicted to it.
It runs the show, yeah.
It runs the show. So it's kind of like saying, you know what, I'm going to remove my right arm. And that's not easy. So if you find yourself resisting it, it's okay. It's because you're so familiar with this conversation. It is part of who you are. You are literally excising it out of your identity. So say it over and over and over again until you get that sense of release, relief. Then in that moment, step number 3, what relationship do you want to have with money now? Right. You're completely you've let that old conversation go. So now what is it you do want? Well, for me, in that moment, because this was one of the conversations that I had, was money flows to me easily and abundantly every single day. It is short and concise. There are people out there that are going to want to write a Tolstoy novel on it. No, this is not what we're doing here, guys. We are literally creating something that inspires you, that lights you up, and it will show up from your heart, not from your head. Because when you've let go of that old conversation, your heart's going to open up and suddenly this space is going to open up and you're going to think, and it will just be there. Like, oh, money flows to me easily and abundantly every single day. And then you want to say it over and over and over again. You want to feel it. You want to feel that energetic shift in your body, mind, and spirit. You will feel it right here in your heart. And that's when you write it down. Okay, got it written down. You want it on your nightstand. You want it on your mirror in the bathroom. You want it on your computer. You want it on your rear view mirror. You want it everywhere so that you can keep getting present to it every day. Wake up to it and feel it. Go to bed, feel it, and then throughout the day. That's step number 3. Now, the 4th step, really important step, now go out and watch it manifesting in your life. Look for it showing up. A lot of people will go out and they're just like, well, it's not here. It's not here. I don't see it. I don't see it. Didn't work. And they've just killed it all off.
Give up
versus, yes, they do. It's like looking at the seeds, waiting for them to germinate, but they're not there. And then we dig them up. Nah, they didn't grow. Next thing. No, you have to allow it to nurture and germinate. You have to look for it and look for it. You find a penny on the ground. There it is. Thank you for showing me that money flows in my life easily and abundantly every single day. Pick that penny up. One year, I actually found almost $800 in found money. Just walking through my day, going through my life. And I put that money in a special vessel in my house. That was my found money vessel. And every time I came home, I would put that money in there and I would just thank it and acknowledge it and acknowledge that money flows to me easily and abundantly every single day. And so look for it showing up in not just money, but in conversations. Whoa, so-and-so just talked to me about a business possibility or a job potential or this potential or a revenue stream potential. You don't have to take them all, but engage in them, be open to them, look at them and acknowledge them as opportunities. And those are the 4 steps. And you take on those 4 steps, you do them over and over and over again. And that old conversation, it will show up. It's never going to go away, but it will get quieter and quieter and quieter and less frequent. And every time it shows up, do the 4 steps again. Oh, there's that old conversation. I'm letting you go. This is who I am now. This is who money is for me. And then continue to look for it manifesting in your life.
Yeah, when that voice shows up for me, I'm like, okay, yeah, you're here. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. You just leave it alone. You can't win a battle with your mind.
No.
You can't win a battle. Don't fight it. Just
Hmm.
acknowledge it, let it be, and
Acknowledge.
then move on. Yeah.
Yeah. And you gave me a tip. When I find money, I don't care if it's a penny or a dime or whatever. I'm like, oh, look at this. I get a little change, and then
Yep.
I have a little bag or whatever full of change,
Yeah.
and that's my found money. But I'm gonna put a label on it and say found money.
Yeah, exactly. And what's so important about this is, especially for people who are in the Abraham Hicks conversation and the vibrational frequency conversation, Dr. Joe
Hmm.
Dispenza, is if we say to ourselves, I want money to flow to me easily and abundantly every single day, and then we see a penny on the ground and say, yeah, but I don't want that, you've just shifted from I want money to flow to me easily and abundantly to I don't. The universe doesn't distinguish between a penny, a dollar, and $1,000,000. It's the same thing. It's
It's all the
money.
same.
It's all the same. So that vibrational frequency is so important to maintain and continue to acknowledge it every time it shows up in your life.
I love that. I love that. And again, it's a discipline that we have to continually do over and over again. So that we
Yes.
remind ourselves.
Yes. People think, and there's so much content. I keep seeing this on my TikTok feed, right? It's like, oh, I'm manifesting for you $1,000,000 right now if you watch this video and like it. That is just clickbait, guys. I want to say this so that people are really clear. This is not magic. That's not how this works. This is not some kind of mystical thing. This is actually you doing the work. You have to do the work. You have to think, feel, and then go out and watch for it manifesting in your life. It is not like a one and done.
Hmm.
When you look at it, it's not like winning the lottery. If you relate to it that way, it's never going to work for you. But if
Hmm.
you truly take on, you know what? I do want this. I can feel it right now. I
Hmm.
am going to manifest it because I said so, and I can feel it. And then go out and look for it. It will show up.
Yeah. Some of those things, they show up in conversations. Like I know, like if you want a new house or something like that, write it
Mm,
down or put a picture up, and then, really, like you said, follow those steps. And sometimes it shows up in a conversation, unbeknownst to you. And
right.
for me, that's like, okay, that's the environment really speaking to my belief,
Yep.
and it's shifting to, the future that I'm creating for myself. Even in the
Absolutely.
conversation, even though the house is not there yet, the
Right.
conversation is now present, you
Yes.
know?
It takes time for things to go from the energetic thought to the physical manifestation in the world. But the more we talk about it, the more we focus on that thought, the more it will come to fruition. Like you said, through those conversations. Wow, that conversation, that thought now has more mass. It's
Hmm.
not just me talking about it, it's other people talking to me about it. It's all of those things coming together, and it just has to be. That's as they say, law of attraction. It is the law. That which is likened to itself is drawn. It will be drawn to you if you focus on it enough. Even going back to the teachings of the Buddha, we are what we think. The more
Yeah.
we think it, the more we create it, the more it exists in our world.
Yes. And a lot of what we talk about here is also purpose. And so in that, the world of, creating,
Mm.
their financial freedom, in that space, how does one get that connection of financial freedom and discovering their purpose?
Yes, and I think if in that question, it's all about your it's understanding what money can provide us and what money can't provide us.
Hmm.
So financial freedom only exists as a declaration. It doesn't exist as a true state of being by virtue of some physical thing. So
Hmm.
we're getting into a real kind of philosophical conversation here, and I love these. So it is all about I'm declaring right now that I have financial freedom, that I have a sense of enough. Now, does that mean I never want to make more money? No, it doesn't mean that at all. It just means I'm living in a declared state of financial freedom because
Hmm.
I say so. I've gotten things into a place of whatever that place is where I can now declare I am in a state of financial freedom. Now I continue to do and create the games that I like to play on a financial level. Like, this is what I'm playing for next. This is what I'm going for next. Does not mean that we stop, because we live in a world where we're either contracting or expanding. We are never standing still. Stasis does not exist. If you take $1 and put it under a mattress, it's not worth the same in 5 days, in 10 days, in 5 years. It's worth less. That is contraction. We have to take that $1 and do something with it. Same thing with a relationship. And I love to equate how we relate to money to how we relate to a significant other. If most people related to a significant other the way they relate to money, they'd be single. They'd be single. I want it when I want it. When it's here, I just want to show it off so everybody thinks I'm cool. I don't think about it when it's not there. I never really appreciate it. I never concern myself, where's this going? It's just like, seriously, that relationship would be over in a nanosecond.
Yeah.
But if we're thinking about money when it's not there, how do I be, as Jack Nicholson said, and as good as it gets? You make me want to be a better man. You make me want to be better in this relationship. How do I make this relationship with money better? How do I create in such a way so that it lasts forever? How do I have it be better every single day? How do I nurture it and appreciate it and love it and enjoy it and have it enjoy being with me? Those are all the kinds of conversations that we want to have around money. Because when we have those conversations, suddenly it's fun to be around money, and money wants to be around us. So relate to it in a way that inspires you, that calls you forth. And these are the things that will, as we were saying earlier, call forth the actions that are consistent with those thoughts. The actions will naturally show up. And if you don't know what the actions are, you will seek out someone who will share with you and who's an expert, who can give you what those actions are. It's just like saying, I don't know how to get into shape. What are you going to do? We're going to go hire an expert. I'm going to go find a trainer that speaks to me in a way that I can relate. I'm going to hire them and I'm going to do what they say.
Yeah. When
I went off on a tangent there, I apologize.
No,
these just get me going.
Please just do it, because it's all valuable what you're sharing, and it works. So it's perfect. Kind of in the same vein, about shifting our money story. How does shifting our money story affect our relationships and our self-worth?
Yeah, I think when we, in our relationship with money is a mirror to our relationship with ourselves. Right. If we stop saying things like, I'm broke, I can't afford it, and we start saying, I am worth it, and I am creating wealth in my life, I am creating prosperity in my life, suddenly our relationship to ourselves changes, because we're no longer diminishing ourselves. We're no longer talking down to ourselves. We are no longer putting ourselves in a box of, well, I could never do that. I could never. How many times have you heard people say that getting on an airplane, walking through first class? Oh, we can never afford these. We can never afford these. Just keep walking. We can never afford it. Well, what are you saying? You're saying that you're not good enough to afford that. So yes, you're never going to be able to afford that. Absolutely. Whereas you stop saying those things, then suddenly you're empowering yourself. Yeah. Now you're having a new conversation. And the more you have this new conversation, the more that conversation becomes the quality of your life, the predominant conversation in your life. And it's not a one and done, and it is not we're going to close the divide in a nanosecond. We can close the divide on a mindset in a nanosecond. I can literally shift my mindset to be a millionaire in a nanosecond. Now, for it to manifest in the world, it takes a little bit of time. But in that nanosecond, my mindset shifts. My whole perspective on life shifts. Now, all the actions that I take are consistent with that, and I'm seeing the fulfillment of that. If we take a little action every single day towards the goal that we're committed to, over a period of time, we are going to be so much closer to our goal. If we want to circumnavigate the globe at the equator, if when we leave in the plane, we're off just by one tiny degree, when we get to the other, all the way around the world, we're going to be thousands of miles off of where we originally planned to be. So that little shift will have a huge difference at the end of a period of time. So just make one little change every single day. And consistently every single day, you will see the quality of your life shift forever.
make a little change every day, be consistent. And in that space, though, um, there will be the tough times, right?
Yeah.
You know, the low times, the tough times. What do you say to somebody who is really working hard and really trying to manifest and really,
Yep.
speaking to that negative voice that's saying you're not enough or whatever it is, and
Right.
they keep going on this, this roller coaster? What do you say to them to help them make it through those
Yeah.
times so they can continue to manifest and really see results in their life?
Yeah. There are always going to be times in our life that maybe things are happening that aren't what we would rather. And
Mm.
I speak from experience. I've been through the eye of the needle more than once, and I know that the way life goes is just going to happen again. There's no
Mhm.
way around it. It's who I get to be in the face of it happening.
Mm.
That's what makes the biggest difference. There are people who are hobbled by it. Something happens and then they're hobbled and they give up. They're just like, okay, I just got to deal with this. And
Mhm.
everything's just, it's a shit show, pardon my French now. It's just everything's horrible. Well, that's one way of dealing with it. Another way of dealing with it is, this is great from Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic and Roman leader, is the obstacle is the way. The obstacle that's set before me is an opportunity for me to grow and expand. And I can choose to use that as a way to grow and expand and get better, or I can choose to let it dominate me.
Mhm.
And so I'm learning from this experience. I'm creating and maintaining a context of my life is about growth and experience. My life is about getting better at everything that I do. And whatever comes at me is an opportunity for me to learn from. And would I rather it be this way? No, I'd rather it not be this way. But it's perfect because I'm going to be a better person on the other side of it.
It's so what I'm hearing is shifting the focus of the kind of the message that you're getting and what
Yeah.
you're giving.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing.
It's all about how we hold something. I like to say context is decisive. So there's the parable of the traveler. He's walking down a road and he comes upon a guy who's chipping stones. He's got a pickaxe and he's swearing and he's sweating and he's cursing and he's just miserable. And the traveler says, "What are you doing?" He says, "Yeah, I'm chipping these stupid stones." And the traveler carries on and he comes up to another guy. Same thing. He's doing the same thing. He's got a pickaxe, but he's whistling and he's singing and he's so excited and he's happy. And the traveler says, "What are you doing?" And he says, "I am building a cathedral." They're doing the same exact thing, and yet they have a totally different experience. The context is decisive in their experience of life. So what context are you going to hold the things that happen for you in life? Are they happening to you or are they happening for you? When we look at it and say, this is happening for me, this is the next stepping stone to my destination. Or, oh, life is happening to me
Yeah.
and this sucks.
Yeah.
It's all up to us. And look, I'm not saying it's not a challenge. It's harder in the beginning as you're taking the first step, but the more steps you take in the direction that you're committed to, the easier it becomes. And the easier it becomes, and the easier it becomes.
The easier it becomes easy. Context is decisive.
Yeah.
Either the positive or the negative is decisive.
Absolutely.
Period.
Absolutely. Yep. It's all on us. And then what's really cool is we get to a place in our life where there's nowhere else to look.
Mm-hmm.
I only look here.
Yeah.
If my life sucks, I'm looking right here. Why am I saying it sucks? If my life's amazing, great. I'm the one who's in control of that.
Mhm.
That takes all the power away from everyone else in the world and gives it to me. And that means I'm in the driver's seat. I declare how my life goes any moment. No one else to look at, no one else to blame, nothing else to say, oh, but what about, but none of that. It's all me. And now I have the power of how my life goes simply by the way I say.
Taking that responsibility.
Yeah.
There's so much we can talk about. Really from the beginning of the conversation on until now, we've been kind of tapping into what transformation can be with our money, our mindsets around money and our lives. And the question I have is, why is long-term transformation more important? I guess you could say more important than small or short-term wins.
Great question. We may take an action that makes us feel good right now. Like right now, I'm getting this instant gratification. Great example is, I want that ice cream. I want that ice cream. Feels so good, tastes so good. I'm so happy. And yet, it's not consistent with my long-term goals of getting the body of my dreams.
Yeah.
I can go buy this really expensive thing and feel really good for a few minutes. And now I've got this credit card debt that's with me for another 10 years. So the short-term joy or satisfaction that we may get out of it pales in comparison to the long-term value of staying true to what I'm committed to. And that's going back to what we were talking about earlier of having that future, that goal that we've set up for ourselves. If we've got that clarity and we're feeling what it's like to have that vision, that goal that we want, and the actions that I'm taking now are consistent with that goal, then we're clear about, wow, I am actually, and I'm enjoying the journey as well. So we want to make sure we're doing both. We're enjoying the journey and we're clear about where we want to get. Because look, the bottom line is we get to the destination. What do? We would create another goal. We're off on another journey. So enjoy the journey, but make sure that the actions that you're taking along the way are consistent with fulfilling you getting to where you want to be. Or are you taking a side road that's a dead end?
Yeah.
That's going to end up undoing the work that you're doing. So staying present to that. And yes, it will be challenging at times. Are you willing to say no to your friends? Let's go to dinner tonight. Let's party and let's have a great time. You know what? I haven't put the money aside. No. That is not an easy thing to do.
No, it's not.
I'm clear about that.
Yeah.
But if you can make that choice, I promise you will come out on the other side much happier.
That's solid. And like you said, it's tough to do, but
Yeah.
really, if you the life that you're creating for yourself, the future that you're creating for yourself, I just say for me, for the future that I'm creating for myself, I know I have to give some things up and be more committed and connected to what that future is.
Yeah.
And it takes a shift in the mind, and
Yep.
it takes work.
It does. And it takes surrounding yourself with people who are willing to hold you to account for that.
Yeah.
My best friend, Stuart, oh my gosh, he and I hold each other to account all the time. There's no room for either one of us. Like, dude, what did you just say? What did you just say? No. That doesn't fly here. And it's that kind of accountability where we're willing to tell each other the truth and we're willing to call each other out so that Stuart knows that there is no way he's going to get away with being anything other than who he wants to be for me and the world, and vice versa. If I step out of line, he's calling me to account. And if we have a second, I want to share this because I think it's really important.
Yes.
A lot of people are worried about, is money going to make me bad? Is money going to corrupt me? Is money going to make me blah, 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 all that stuff? Money is not good. Money is not evil. It's just money. What it is a magnifier of who we already are. So if we all have the propensity to be good or evil, to do good things, to do bad things. If you choose to allow yourself to be evil or bad, money will amplify that. If you choose to be good, money will amplify that. You never have to worry about the money. Let the money flow. Be cautious about who you allow yourself to be. We can see this in examples all over the world with people who have lots and lots of wealth and they're horrible. All they want is more wealth. They don't care about anybody else but themselves. And they surround themselves with people that will support that. Oh yeah, you were right to tell them they were jerks. They didn't treat you. They don't know who you are, like that. And then you've got other people on the other side of the spectrum and they're good. They want to make a difference in the world. The Taylor Swifts of the world, that they surround themselves with good people and they do good things with the money that they make and they continue to make lots and lots of money. So it's not about money making us bad or evil. It's about money amplifying who we already are.
Yeah, you must be on this. We must be on the same little frequency, because I was going to ask that question. I was like, it's okay, and you brought it out, so that's really great, and I do appreciate you. And I mean, everything that you shared was spot on, and I think that the listeners, watchers, and listeners, they'll definitely get something from this and take it with them and apply it to their lives. However, there is a way for our people to get in touch with you, and how is that?
Yeah, they can go to my website. I have two. They both go to the same place, periclesrellas.com or resetyourfinancialthermostat.com. And right there on the main page is my free masterclass, the 4 keys to resetting your financial thermostat. If this is a conversation that's important to you, you want to take it to the next level, it's free. It's 27 minutes of your life and could actually alter the trajectory of your life. So if it's something that's of interest, check it out. And certainly make sure you like this podcast, because this is where it's all happening. And you want to make sure that you're supporting it and getting the value for yourself and for others as well.
Pericles, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you being here. I've been to your website, and I started the video, and then stuff happened. So make sure when you watch the video, set 30 minutes to the side just to watch the video, because I'm going to go back to watch it out. For your last words on the podcast, what is one lesson or whatever you have on your heart to share as your last words on the podcast today?
Find what you love and do it. There's no one right answer for everyone. There's only the right answer for you and right now. Find whatever that is that nurtures you, that nourishes you, body, mind, and spirit, and pull it towards you. And do it with zeal and relish and enjoy it and love it, because life is all about feeling good. Make sure it's not at the expense of other people, but life is all about love, joy, and happiness. So whatever that is you love, pull it towards you.
Again, thank you, Pericles. I can tell that you're full of light and love and great things to share. So thank you for being here on the podcast. We appreciate you. And all you listeners and watchers, make sure you go to our Facebook group, the ThriveWell Journey, get more clips from there. And as we always say about this time, let's make thriving our new normal. Pericles, thanks again.
Michael, thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. Before you go, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being a part of the ThriveWell Journey. Every time you show up here, you're choosing growth, clarity, and the deeper work of becoming who you're meant to be in this world. And if you're ready to reconnect with what truly lights you up, I created something powerful that can help you. It's called the Empowered Path, 7 days to reclaim your purpose and passion. It's a beautifully designed, guided workbook that walks you through a week of powerful prompts, clarity building tools, and real mindset shifts. Now, you can get instant access to it today. It's a small investment for a huge return. Your energy, your clarity, your alignment. And if you want to take it deeper, check this out. I'm offering a limited number of free 30-minute purpose coaching sessions. No pressure, no pitch, just space for you to reconnect with your direction, your gifts, and what's next. So you can grab the guide and book your session at the link in the show notes. Let's not just go through the motions. Let's really walk this path on purpose. I appreciate you. And like we always say, let's make thriving our new normal. And I'll talk to you soon.